Hello, everybody. Welcome to our edition where we have invited our very special guest, Carol Baldwin, with us to the show. She is our YA historical fiction author. She's also my dear, loving friend that I just can't tell you guys how much I love this lady sitting with me right now. She's like my side ride or die right with me. I love you, Carol. She's our
Thank
publicist.
you.
Our authors love and adore her. She's our cheerleader. She's so
Yay!
many things for Monarch. But first, I just have to say thank you for being my friend. And thank you for
Oh,
praying for me and for
I do.
caring for me.
I do.
And I do. I care for you so much. So when I thought about let's have a Friday special, let's invite my dear publicist, author, friend, Carol Baldwin to the show.
Oh,
So, Carol, we're just so excited to have you here
thank
today.
you.
You wear many hats.
I do wear many hats.
Author, you're a author, you're a conference presenter, you are community outreach all the time, moving and shaking in the author world. And now you're a publicist for Monarch. So thank you for volunteering that role. So
You
just
gave
talk
me that job. You gave me that
shoot.
job.
No, I
You
think the
did.
Lord connects his
Yes.
people
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Um, so tell me just
Definitely.
I don't know where we start other than just saying tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, thank you so much. What an amazing introduction, Jen. You made me feel like, oh, I don't know. I'm just this awesome person. And I just think, I'm
You
just
are.
me. But thank you
No,
so much.
no.
Thank you. So, a lot of people want to know if I've always dreamed of being an author. And, like as a kid, I don't know that I actually thought that I wanted to be an author as much as I wanted to be a writer. And my mother, at a very early age, told me that I had a way with words. And I feel like that was her blessing to me and that it stuck with me. And to her, my parents' credit, they're both German immigrants. They both loved reading. I think that that's probably partly how they learned English so well is through reading. And so all me and my siblings, we read a lot growing up. It was really encouraged. And now, as I teach writing, particularly to young people, I try to emphasize that that's how you learn how to write is by reading. So that's an essential skill. But anyway, so I really thank my parents for their encouragement. So my mother said I had a way with words. My father was the writer in our family, but I didn't realize that till way late in my life. So he wrote several versions of his autobiography because he escaped from Germany before the Holocaust or during the Holocaust, which I hope to make into a part of a book. That's book 3 that I'm planning on writing. But anyway, when I read his autobiography, I was like, "Oh, this is where I get my writing from and my desire to always record things." Like as a kid, I journaled a lot and I had pen pals and I that's how I learned to be a writer, and that's how I learned how to translate my thoughts and my feelings into words on paper
Oh, I
through
love
those
that.
things. So
And so years later,
years later, many years later. So my first published articles actually when I was in college. I started out with nonfiction because nonfiction seemed less scary than fiction. Fiction was more like, oh, jumping into a pond or a lake and you don't know where the bottom is, kind of a thing. And I knew that I could describe anything. So I started out with nonfiction for quite a while. I wrote about my own experiences. I was widowed at a young age, and I wrote about that, and that was part of my grieving process to write about it. I didn't know that at the time, but it definitely was. So um, I was distracted because a text from my daughter just came in.
no, that's
Sorry about
good.
that.
Family
So,
always
yeah,
here at Monarch.
yeah. So
But you started
anyway,
with the nonfiction. Yep.
I did start with nonfiction, and actually, the first two books I wrote were nonfiction. One was on, I got my master's in counseling. I have always been interested in people and how people tick and what and about relationships and how early childhood affects us as an adult. So I started out by studying in child study, and then I gradually made that into mental health. And so my first book was on, it's called Friendship Counseling, it was on lay counseling in the church. And I had gotten my master's degree, and my church asked me to teach a Sunday school on lay counseling, and that's so the chapters in that book, yeah, I don't think you even know about that.
I don't. Look
Yeah,
how we just
yeah.
start recording and find out new things.
Yes, yeah, I should have the book right in front of me, but I don't. But it's out of print now, but it was translated into Chinese, so that's my my claim to fame. So that one came out in 1988, which is, like, long ago now, but it was my first book, and then after so that's nonfiction and all about helping people within the church. And then my second book was is called Teaching the Story. Now I can grab that because I don't have it right in front of me, but this is the second book I wrote, Teaching the Story, fiction writing in grades 4 through 8. And um I wrote that because I was teaching in my kids' classrooms. I was teaching them creative writing based on what I had learned by reading Writer Digest and other magazines. And so I created a curriculum and pretty easily, I didn't realize this at the time, but pretty easily found an educational publisher who published it. And now, many years later, I'm using that book as I teach kids, and I'm going through it and thinking, "This is a decent book." So, hopefully, we have some plans for that book, but we can't announce that yet. We have some hopes and plans for that, but it's, what I discovered is that once you publish a book, that is such a big deal in terms of I don't wanna say I guess notoriety is the word or recognition, like, because of that book, I make more money now on teaching than I ever did on any kind of royalties from the book
That's
because
right.
I'm now, quote, "an expert."
Yes.
So, after that, I I wrote some and all the time I was writing for magazines and newspapers and getting credentials that way. I had joined a CBWI early on because I knew that I wanted to write for kids. Eventually, that was in my head. And one of the pieces of advice I got from somebody who is no longer with us, Belinda Hermance. I don't know if you knew her or not, but she
Mm-mm.
was from your neck of the woods. And she came to the first conference I put on in Charlotte, and she said, "Start out with magazines." And that was really good advice for getting published. And so I wrote short little stories and articles and started building up some credentials. And I still have copies of those articles
Ah,
and those magazines because, like, how can you let go of them? But
right.
that was really good. And then I worked myself up into getting published in highlights. And after I had published 2 articles in highlights, I was like, "Okay, that's it. I can start a book." So I felt like I had received those or earned my right, if you will, to go from there. And that's was about 20, 25 years ago, something like that, when I first around 20 years ago, when I first started thinking about writing a book. And it's taken me 18 years from when I really started seriously writing half truths to getting it published was 18 years. Now that's not I don't say that to discourage anybody who's listening to me because it doesn't have to take 18 years, but knew I was a writer, but I didn't know how to write a novel, which is totally different. I mean, that's just a total different beast. I knew nothing about writing a novel. And I picked a really hard topic, which I didn't realize I had done, which is typical of me. I just sort of, oh, this is interesting. I think I'll do this kind of a thing. Um, so, what, what else do you want me to tell you? I could tell you more about.
And so historical fiction kinda
Okay.
lines in with, to me, how you love to capture story, how you love to capture people and events, and you
Mhm.
do that so well.
Oh,
So
thank
instead
you.
of just going off and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna write a novel now, and it's gonna be, just a contemporary," no, it had to be historical fiction? Like, did you know that right away when the idea came to you? You were bouncing out different ones, or was it historical fiction?
It was always historical, which is
I kn
really interesting
I
because
knew it.
I didn't like history as a kid. It was very, very boring, and maybe but I read some historical fiction, like Joyce Moyer Hofstetter, who is a middle grade author in North Carolina. I met her at a conference where we were both presenting, and I went to her session and she went to mine. We became partners in a newsletter and in teaching, and I learned how powerful historical fiction can be. She just writes so beautifully about real events so that the reader is learning about the real events, but is also engaged, very much engaged in the story. So I never really thought about anything else. Like I can't imagine writing fantasy because fantasy is like you have to create a whole world. But I think it resonates with the nonfiction part of me that I can pin things on real people and real events. And that's what I've done with Half Truths. Although I can't say that I had that in my mind when I started. I didn't know that. I realized it after the fact that that's what I was doing. I did so the reason I picked what I did is that I was curious, and I think that that is a motivation for a lot of writers, whatever they're writing, is they're curious to explore something. And so I was curious about so I'd moved from New Jersey, South Jersey to Charlotte, North Carolina almost 40 years ago. And I knew nothing about the South. I mean, the furthest south I had gone to well, one time I went across the United States, but, I really didn't understand the South. So I moved here, and I was just curious to know what life was like here before civil rights. Like, who were the movers and shakers, and how did they move towards civil rights here? So that's what prompted this book. If but I didn't know I had no idea where it was gonna take me. I honestly had no idea, and when I went to my first highlights, um, workshop, which I cannot recommend enough, the Highlights for Children workshops, the writing workshops, I had Harold Underdown as a mentor, who is an amazing person. He knows children's publishing so much. When he asked me about what I was working on, I said, "It's a book that takes place in Charlotte before civil rights." And he said, "No, Carol, that's just the setting." He said, "That's your setting." He said, What does your character want?" And now, I mean, I've been doing that this week with this eighth graders that I'm teaching, saying to them, "What does your character want?" And like, I had no idea when he said that to me. I mean, I was really a newbie about writing fiction. I knew nothing about writing a novel. And when he said that to me, I was like, oh, and that was just so mind-blowing to find that out, but that was incredibly helpful in constructing this story and in constructing a girl who, imagining this girl, Kate Dinsmore, I um, she is white and she moves to Charlotte. She moves out from a rural place in the South. I always had that in my mind that that's what was going to be part of the beginning, but I didn't know where in the rural South that she would come from. But I wanted her to move from a farm area, if you will, into urban, if you will, Charlotte in 1950, which was not nearly as urban as it is now. But to her, in
It
her
would be.
eyes, it would be. Right. So that I knew that that was going to be a part of the story. And because it was about civil rights, well, there had to be a main Black character too. And so that is Lillian Bridges. And she is the maid she is the granddaughter of okay, so Kate moves in with her grandparents in a very wealthy part of Charlotte. And you have to read the book to figure out how she figures out to do that and why she does that. But she moves, and that's where she meets Lillian. Lillian is the granddaughter of her grandmother's cook and main help in the house. And together they have an interesting connection.
Yes. And
So
so the book is out,
mhm.
and you have not stopped, lady.
I haven't.
You have not stopped. You were a full force of reckoning before the book launched.
Oh, thank you.
After the book launched, you are still in the midst of
I am.
engagements and working it. Let's talk a little bit about that because
Okay.
you are our encourager for Monarch. Like you help us connect, but you are also doing that for yourself. So
Mhm.
you've got authors that you're helping to support, but then here you are doing your own thing and it's like you're the model. So you're modeling and showing it, and, like, talk to me a little bit about how all of that came to be.
It's your fault, Jen.
I take full
It's your
credit then, I
it's your
take credit.
fault because after I finished Half Truths and was thinking I was done, and that was, like, over a year ago, and
You
I started working on my
that's fine,
next manuscript,
which is fine,
and you said, "You
but
can't do that now. You have to
yeah,
lay some groundwork in Charlotte for this book to come
yeah,
out." Yeah,
yeah,
because it and
historical
that
fiction.
yeah, because it takes place in Charlotte, and so it's all your fault that I haven't gotten back to writing because I have taken that seriously, and I don't, regret that I'm doing that because I spent 18 years writing this book, and I want it to get out there. And also, what I have realized, what you have said all along to all your authors, is that if it's going to have a life when it gets out in the world, it's gonna be because of you. You know, it doesn't automatically like you publish it and like, oh, I have 1,000 readers. No, 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 no. You have to do work to do that to get it out there. And so, yep, that's what I'm doing. And I mean, I do it in little and big ways. So one here's a little way. So I had postcards. This is not anything new, but it's
Mhm.
postcards with the cover on it, and then on the back it says how people can connect to me. Actually going to get this. Oh, it's upside down. No, it's not. Redone, and I'm going to put some of the pull quotes on here from the reviews I've had because this is sort of like empty space. So that's my next revision on the postcards. But I give these out all the time. So
Yoga
I gave
class,
Am I that's
post
right, right.
office.
That's right. Yoga class, post office, grocery clerks,
Yeah.
and oh, the other day I walked into the rec center where I am teaching writing and somebody noticed the blue and white that I was wearing, and I said, "Oh, it's my brand for my book." She was like, "Oh, you have a book?" So then I had to show her my jewelry. So this is my Blue Willow jewelry because Blue Willow is in the book. See, I'm wearing a Blue Willow bracelet. I have Blue Willow necklaces that I give away. If you hire me to be in a book club, then whoever hires me or gets me to come to the book club gets a Blue Willow necklace. And I just use them as giveaways. But anyway, I'm just like I just talk about it however or to whoever I can. And I don't know how many of those are actually turning into sales. You know that better than I do. But I figured the best way for me to promote is for me to be excited about it and through relationships. And so whether that's other authors who I know I've met online and promoting their books. I mean, the writing community is very supportive. If you support somebody, they typically support you and back and forth. And so I've made that a priority in my life is to support other authors who I believe in their work. But now I've forgotten your question. What was your question?
Tell
Have I answered it?
I actually forgot the question too, because I don't write
Oh,
anything down, but I
yeah,
will
so
say joy. I can tell that you have joy from all of these different types of
mhm,
angles. Like, tell me some like joy moments that you've had. I know you and Becca traveling road shows. I
yeah,
could just imagine you and Rebecca Wheeler conferencing together. Like, to
mhm.
me, that's a joy.
Yes, it
Um,
is definitely, and I highly encourage any authors, if you are, to join up with another author for either a book event or a conference presentation because it is so much more fun when you're doing it with somebody else. And then you can bounce off of each other. You don't feel as nervous about the situation, and you'll communicate that fun and that joy to your audience. So, yes, so Rebecca and I have done a couple things together, and we will continue to do that. I am doing I am co-presenting at the Taylor Professional Writing Conference, which is a Christian writers conference in Indiana in a couple weeks, and I'm doing a presentation with another member of Write to Ignite, which is a Christian writing group for writers who want to write for children or adults or young adults, and we're just having fun bouncing ideas off of each other, and it'll be so much fun to present together, just because two brains are better than one. So yeah, that is definitely one source of joy. But a real source of joy for me is I love teaching writing. I just really enjoy teaching people who don't think of themselves as writers. By the end of the hour or the end of the workshop, if I have several hours together, they're like, oh, I wrote that. So right now, and you know this, I'm teaching 5 eighth graders who the first day they came in, there are only 5 of them. 2 of them said they didn't want to be there at all, and they're only there because their parents made them. And they are the best writers in the group. And I am thrilled to be part of that process, to validate them and to be able to say, "You are a good writer," and, to hopefully expand their horizons. Like, oh, yesterday, by the end of the day, they had formed a group chat, which was really fun, and one of the girls posted a meme that she had found and was all about words. And, it was all related words. And I wrote back and I said, "That's a great muscle words," because we talk about muscle words, just vivid verbs and great adjectives and specific nouns. And we talk about that a lot during the week. So to see them getting what I'm talking about, like, and to go from, "Oh, I hate this," to, I don't know if they're going to leave feedback and say that they liked it or not. But yesterday at the end of the class, they didn't want to leave, which was
Oh, she froze.
real joy.
Oh, you froze just a little bit, but I heard real
Yeah, I'm
joy.
back.
Okay,
Yes.
I will tell
Okay.
you, I would love to have continued conversations with you about your author world, your events, your conferences, publishing, connections. What I
Okay.
have really felt from you today is the power of words, from your mother speaking life
Mm,
into you, for your father demonstrating that writing to you.
mhm.
Now you're going out doing the same thing. Like you said, validating, supporting, encouraging others to find their voice. You encouraged your character, Kate, to find her voice.
That's right.
We so I see the common theme of the power of words, the power of relationships, and Carol, you're just the best. And I adore
But
you. Um,
oh, Jen,
I adore
the
you.
Lord has used you in my life a lot. So,
Well, you've been a light. You've been a light for me. You've been a light for your readers, your authors, everyone in your community. I just can't thank you enough for all you've done for me. I
oh,
love you. Just thank you for sharing with me the Monarch mission and the Monarch way. Um, and I just can't wait for many adventures to come.
okay.
And
Very good.
I can live all of that vicariously through you as you are off traveling the United States, sharing your writing message. Look at you go. You got them all lined up.
Well, we're working on it. We're
Yep.
working on it.
So
So,
definitely want to continue conversations with you in the future.
great.
Just thank you for joining me on our Friday special.
Okay.
Carol, just love you
I love you
for
too.
life.
Thank you so much, Jen.
All right,
Thank you.
last words of advice for anybody out there who's thinking of publicist or author or just they want to write or journal, anything. Like, what's
Do
your words
it.
of encouragement?
Just do it.
Just,
You don't be thinking about it, and don't think, particularly, don't think, "I don't know where to start." And because no matter where you start, you're gonna rewrite it anyway. I rewrote my beginning probably 50 times. So, and that's not an exaggeration because I didn't know where to start the book. So just start.
Oh, love it. All right. Okay.
All
Thanks
right.
everybody for
Thank you
joining
again.
us. Hope you
Thanks
guys have a
again.
wonderful day and check us out.
All right.